Hey guys, it's Eric here. Today I'm going to do a quick, let's just call it a 4-month update of the Alpharex NOVA series LED headlights for 07 to 13 Tundras and 08 to, I think, 17 Sequoias. I have had these headlights on for approximately, I think since sometime in November. These were the very first sets in China. I had to order them directly from Alpharex. I ordered 25 sets for all my members in my Sequoia club, and they sold out immediately. So, number one, starting off with a pro. Obviously, that's going to be the styling. This transforms your truck tremendously. It makes the truck look so much nicer and so much younger, especially with that LED halo ring design. The 4 projector design I'm not that much of a fan of. I actually like the Pro series where it only has the single projector design better, but considering this is full LED, I went for the Nova series. The second pro I'm going to talk about is the fitment. Now the gapping pretty much matches my OEM headlight. And also for the headlight washer mounting positions, this doesn't require any drilling or tapping, which is really nice. A lot of the other aftermarket headlights that I was looking at, specifically for the Tundra, required you, if you had a Sequoia, to drill 3 holes into the bottom of the headlight assembly to mount the headlight washer bracket, which this headlight does not require. It comes with the holes from the factory, which is really nice. Another pro for this headlight is plug and play. Everything. The low beam, the high beam, the turn signal, and even the side marker uses OEM plugs. So there was no cutting, no splicing needed. If I ever wanted to go back to an OE headlight, this could come right off and an OE light could be put right back on. No issues. Now, one thing I will recommend you do that Alpharex doesn't specifically note in their instructions is if you're going to put these headlights on, I strongly recommend you switch out the OEM halogen turn signal bulb, which is the only thing this headlight doesn't change, which is one con I'm going to give it. Switching those turn signal bulbs out to LEDs makes this thing look so much sharper when you're using your turn signals, as you can see. The instant on, instant off just looks much more crisp compared to the halogen bulbs that was on here previously with the OEM setup. So that's definitely something you should consider doing if you're going to get these headlights. Okay, another pro I have for this headlight is the low beam output. I absolutely love the thing. Here are the low beams on without any fog lights, and I really like how the cutoff line is really clean. And also the overall brightness just doesn't show on camera, but it's really nice to drive at night with these. However, associated with the really nice low beam, one complaint I have for this headlight is probably because it's designed for US roads and it has to be DOT compliant, and it just doesn't really make much sense here in China, is the high beam output. It is kind of weak. Here's a shot with the high beams on. Now, at first glance, it doesn't look that bad, but one really weird thing I find with these is there's a really visible gap right in between the low beam and the high beam. Now this is because I'm pointed kind of close to a wall, and it appears that the gap is a lot smaller than it actually is, as you can see. But when driving in real life, it gets a little bit annoying because there's always a gap of light that the high beam is not able to shine onto. There's no way that I found that these high beams can be separately adjusted from the low beams. They appear to move up and down with the low beams, and I can't get rid of that gap. I've also had friends that have also installed these headlights tell me that they find the gap kind of annoying. I guess it doesn't make much of a big deal in the US, where people usually don't drive around with high beams at night, But here in China, that's a big deal because, well, people drive around with high beams at night, and you really need to turn your high beams on to get them to turn theirs off. Make them blind, essentially. Also, I would recommend that when you switch out your turn signal bulb, if you do decide to make that an LED bulb, you put a 3157 bulb in there instead of the stock 4157. This way, when your headlights are on, you don't get that speck, that dimmed yellow look in there, in the turn signal housing, which I kind of don't like anymore after putting these bright white lights, headlights on. Don't get me wrong, the dimmed yellow look made sense in the OEM housing where everything was yellow, but in this really modernistic looking headlight design, I find that a little bit annoying. Also, one thing to consider is, now these right now are in the DRL mode with the parking brake off. Usually Sequoias have that yellow amber DRL light from the factory, from that halogen bulb, which over time does tend to melt up the turn signal housing on your headlight assembly through a couple of years, of course. I discovered that when changing these headlights out and looked at my old headlights. I don't have a photo of that right now, but you could go check out yours. And the turn signal housing, specifically the inner lens, was getting a little bit hazy. To prevent that from happening, I opted to cut the wire in the flasher assembly so that I no longer have the yellow amber DRLs. Now, you don't have to do that if you don't want to, but I find that it makes more sense to do it because in a pure white DRL, it kind of is pointless to have that separate yellow amber DRL being lit up. So that's just personal preference. If you want to keep the yellow look with the white, go right ahead. It's just, for me, I kind of like this pure white look and I don't want that speck of yellow in there. One small complaint I have for these headlights, not that big of a deal, but you see, on an OEM headlight housing, the hole cut out for the bolt holes on the radiator support is perfect to size. On these, the holes are just a little bit big, so when you put the OEM fasteners in without any additional washers and stuff, there ends up being a little bit of play. I don't know if you could see that, but the bolts are tightened down all the way, but it doesn't show much on this one, but specifically on this one. You can combat this problem by just adding a washer onto here. I forgot to do that, I was too lazy. But I guess that's just one thing that Alpharex could potentially look into fixing in the future. Now, in case if you were wondering how I ran my DRL wire, comes out of the fuse box, follows this extra additional loom I added, and for the driver's wire, I zip tied the fuse onto the battery mount, and then it goes all the way inside the radiator support, and it comes out over here to the passenger side. Well, there's a wrap to the video. This was just a short, quick review of the Alpharex NOVA series headlights for the 07 to 13 Toyota Tundras and the 08 to 17 Sequoias. If you liked this video, I don't know, do all the stuff. Not that fluent with YouTube yet, so bye.